The UFC men's divisions can differ a lot from each other. Today I'm taking a look at all 8 men's divisions and ranking them from worst to best based on a criteria of star power, technical ability, amount of skill, overall prospects, and things like that. As I go through the list, you'll see my reasoning in much more depth. We got a lot of divisions to go through. Without further ado, let's just get into it. Number 8, heavyweight. Heavyweight is easily the worst division in the UFC in my opinion. It has a major lack of stars. Departures from Francis Ngannou and John Jones over the last few years didn't help either, as now the only fighters left in the division that people really care about are Tom Aspinall and somewhat Ciryl Gane. It has the absolute worst depth by a landslide. Tom stands above all, but after that it's Gane, Volkov, Almeida, and that's pretty much it. Everyone else is just a fat stand and bang brawler. Besides promising prospects like Walter Walker and Mario Pinto, there's not much there. Heavyweight is for sure last. It's a complete disaster right now, and they are in dire need of some fresh blood. Number 7, light heavyweight. This placement might come as a shock to some people, but it's this low because I just think there's a major lack of depth at 205. Pereira is champ again, which is great, but now he's beaten everyone in the top 5 besides Carlos Ulberg. And that's just not a compelling fight whatsoever. It has big names like Alex and Yuri, but after that, it's just guys that cling on to the other two to grow their name. The rest of the rankings are mid-level guys that are interchangeable, except for maybe Osman Mirzakhanov. There's not much to look forward to at 205 either. I think Pereira has run reign on this division. I think there's not much left for him here. I think he's going to vacate the title and move up. And then we're going to have Magomed Ankalaev and probably Yuri Prochazka fight for a vacant title. There's not much to get excited for at 205. It's in a pretty bad spot. Not as bad as heavyweight, but not great either. Number 6, flyweight. Flyweight is fast and technical, but it's always had limited mainstream attention. And that's the big thing with this one. It's not as popular. Doesn't have the biggest names. Now, for diehard MMA fans, we love flyweight for how technical it is. Pantoja is one of the best champs in the UFC right now, but no one cares about him. Also, because of how good he is, you run into the problem that he's beaten literally everyone. Like, literally everyone. The Joshua Van fight will be fun, but if he gets past him, who's really next? It's deep with talent, but it's nowhere near competitive at the top. As an overall division, it's not too bad. There's a lot of fun fighters here and a lot of extremely high-level dudes, but there's a champion who reigns supreme and nobody can beat. These guys are really technical and really fun to watch, but no one cares about them, so that's why they're this low on the list. Number 5, featherweight. This may come to a surprise to some people seeing it this low, but honestly, I think it's better than a lot of people give it credit for. It has some of the most high-level and skilled fighters in the company. Vets like Volk and Max were running the show for years and still are, while new contenders like Diego Lopez, Yusuf Zalal, and Lerone Murphy have emerged. Other contenders like Arnold Allen, Movsar Evloev, and Gene Silva keep the top 10 of Warzone. This top 10 is filled with killers. Prospects like Kevin Vallejos and many others make the future look bright for 145 as well. There's a lot of fun, young, exciting prospects in this division. My only problem with this division would be its lack of stars, which is a common issue because the UFC doesn't have many stars to begin with right now. But outside of Volk and maybe Diego Lopez and Aljamain Sterling, is there any major star power at 145? The answer is no. So while I do think 145 is pretty awesome, has a loaded top 10, has a fun champ, has a lot of exciting prospects as well, for me, the star power in this division, or the lack thereof, holds it back just a bit and puts it below the other divisions on this list. Number 4, middleweight. I was going back and forth between this one and 145, but I decided to give middleweight the edge. Middleweight, as of late, is definitely deeper than it was 5-6 years ago. It's much more competitive with a lot of high-level fighters towards the top. The division has seen the belt change hands a few times over the past few years, which is always a good testament to the division's competitiveness. Its established contenders such as Robert Whittaker, Israel Adesanya, Sean Strickland, and Dricus du Plessis are always involved in intriguing matchups, while newcomers like Nasruddin Imavov, Kyle Barallo, and Renier de Ritter have added the needed depth and fresh matchups to this division. Even Fluffy Hernandez and Brendan Allen have been making noise as well. A lot of the really high-level contenders towards the top of this division are straight up just better than it was 5-6 years ago as well. Like Guys like Kyle Borrallo, Nasruddin Imavov, Renier de Ridder are just way better fighters than Jared Cannonier and Marvin Vettori and Paulo Costa, all due respect. There's a lot of fun up-and-comers here as well, like a Bo Nickel, like a Shara Bullet. There's a lot of fun action happening at 185, and in my opinion, it could end up being one of the best divisions in the UFC. The only thing that holds this division back, like Flyweight, is an unbeatable champ. Khamzat Chimaev is elite in every single way, and I don't see anyone beating him. Yeah, Khamzat is a pretty big star, but he also just doesn't fight enough. The dude fights pretty much once a year, and we just won't have the belt going up for grabs enough for me to warrant putting this division above others on this list. A good amount of stars mixed with solid depth and solid prospects. 185 is in a pretty good spot, and that's why it's this high up on the list. Number 3, welterweight. Welterweight has gotten so much better in the past few years. It's honestly one of the best, and I could listen to arguments of it being the best. But for me, it's number 3. The top 10 is absolutely loaded, but not only loaded, fresh. New contenders have emerged. There's a lot of fresh matchups to be made. There's a strong balance of wrestlers and strikers, probably the best balance for any division in the UFC. There's more stars than most divisions too. Guys like Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, and Ian Gary are household names, while guys on the come up like Michael Morales and Sean Brady can still make a name for themselves. The best thing to say about 170 is its balance. There's a great mix of old and new strikers and wrestlers. Welterweight's in a great spot, and on top of all that, you have JDM defending his title versus Islam Makhachev. If Islam gets his hand raised and beats JDM, imagine throwing him into the mix. Things would get even more interesting. Number 2, Bantamweight. 135 is easily one of the best divisions. If this was 2 years ago, I'd say it's the best. It's loaded in the top 15, and it's stacked outside of the rankings as well. The only problem with it right now is the champ Merab is just drowning out all the opponents. He's so good that no one actually believes that a contender has a chance against him, besides the diehard Umar fans. Personally, I do think that's an issue. Merab's fighting style also doesn't help. While he isn't boring, he's not the most exciting dude on the roster either. You ain't gonna see a highlight reel KO. The division has big names like Merab, like O'Malley, like Henry Cejudo, like even Peter Yan to an extent. There's fighters people care about. There's constantly fresh prospects and up-and-comers that keep the rankings competitive. Another issue people might point to is that the wrestlers are kind of taking over. They've been extremely dominant in this division. But if you look throughout UFC history, every division has had that at some point. Bantamweight still has a lot of potential once Merab moves on. That belt could be anyone's. And the top is so solid, and it has a great mix of well-rounded fighters that I think it could end up being number 1 again. Number 1, lightweight. Lightweight is number 1, and it usually is. It's the pinnacle of fighting. The world's biggest stars are here. It's the most common weight to fight, and it has the perfect balance of technical ability and brute power. Currently the most skilled fighter on the roster, in my opinion, Ilia Topuria, is the champ. But he doesn't reign amongst peasants. Islam Makhachev, Armin Tsarukyan, Charles Oliveira, Max Holloway, and Justin Gaethje is a death row of a top 5. The rest of the rankings is loaded too, and like 170 and 135, lightweight has an abundance of prospects and new talent to test the top 15. It produces and currently has the biggest stars like Ilya, like Charles, and even fan favorites like Dan Hooker and Renato Moicano. Lightweight's great. The only problem with this division is its consistency with the title. There's been a lot of vacancies and absences. The belt isn't put up for grabs enough straight up. We need an active champion. That's the only thing that holds it back though. Otherwise, it's pretty great. Well, there you guys have it. That's how I would rank all the men's divisions in the UFC. Thank you all for watching this video. Let me know if you guys agree with me in the comments down below. What would you change? Please let me know. Thank you all for watching this video. Once again, like and subscribe if you haven't already. I'll catch you all in the next one.